Hello and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be doing a Cobra Kai character tier list because I decided, it's funny enough, I started this channel after I started doing streams about Cobra Kai over on my friends The Chosen Ones channel, link down in the description below. So I think it's time to let people know my opinions on all the characters, and also I'm just a big fan of Cobra Kai in general. So I thought let's change it up a bit. I have been doing these tier lists. I'm going to be doing other content as well very soon, so keep an eye out for that stuff. But let's just jump straight into this sort of tier list. And first up is Aisha. I'm going to put her in the okay category. She's an okay character. She was mostly there for the first and second season, and then obviously she left. She had like a cameo appearances in an episode or two later on, but as a general character, she was basically just there to be Sam's best friend, and then to be like a sort of like in the middle between Sam and Tori, and that sort of stuff. I wasn't really the biggest fan of her character. She was good, but she wasn't like an overall 10 out of 10. Ali, I'm going to put her in a good tier. Like, it was good seeing her back, and it was good seeing the resolve between her and Johnny. It was good to see her and Danny interact again and stuff. Well, with Daniel, sorry. But but for me, like, she wasn't in the show for long enough to be put in greater god tier, because it was nice seeing her again, but she didn't do much on the front of progressing the story as much. She like was there and done what she had to do and then got out. So I would say that's good. Amanda, I'm going to put in a great category, because when it comes to Amanda, I think she's like the voice of reason during this show. She's the one that's been trying to help Tori out. She's the one that's always, having to deal with Daniel's antics, and obviously having to deal with her kids constantly getting into quote unquote fights and battles because of Cobra Kai versus Miyagi-Do. And obviously for a mother, she deals with it really well, and she's been there for Robbie, she's been there for Tori, she's been there for Sam. Not so much for Anthony, but that is what it is. I can't pronounce this guy's name, and so I don't want to get it wrong. I just remember him being in other TV shows. Um, I'll put him in a good, because he's funny, and some of the antics he gets up to is really funny. So I'm going to put him in good tier. I'm sorry I can't remember how to pronounce the name, because I don't want to butcher it, so I don't want to even attempt it. Anthony, I would say he's on his way to becoming great, but I'm going to put him in the good category because his character arc has been really well. He went from the kid that just got to do what he wanted. He came from a privileged lifestyle where he was paying people to do wax on, wax off for him. He was buying drones, he was doing things. And obviously later on, then his sister comes in, which is actually Ralph's real daughter, and she's there to like help him out and obviously try see why his parents don't care for him as much as the daughter Sam, because obviously he ends up becoming a bully at one point, and now he's on his way to slowly but surely becoming a good character. He's on his way to becoming a karate person himself. He's got Robbie and Sam training him, so fine well that eventually he's going to end up having some good moves. He might not be an amazing fighter, but he's going to be a decent fighter. When it comes to this character, which is I'm pretty sure that is. I'm not quite sure who this character is, so I can't really put. Oh wait, that's the shop. Like that's the guy that owns the dojo, I'm sure. I'm not quite sure who this character is. It's been a bit since I've seen this character, so I'm just gonna put that in the okay category, because I can't really be too, judgmental, and there's not a place where it's like I can't remember character or whatnot, so I'll put him in the okay. Bart, I'll put him in the good category. Like, he's good for what he is. He's not amazing. He's one of the only people in the cast that I actually know that is actually does some sort of like martial arts, and his character is good for what it is. It's not an amazing character. He's more of a background actor, and that's what he's supposed to be. So you can't really argue with that. That's Bobby, I'm sure. So he's going into a great tier, because he's the one that was trying to get Johnny's life on track when he was like having the fallout after what Robbie and Miguel went through, and Johnny was drinking and he wasn't showing up to see Robbie, but this guy was trying to get Johnny to be there for his son. So I think as a character overall, he's one of the better characters, because he was actually putting in a lot of effort. I'm pretty sure this is Birch, and I dislike that guy because obvious reasons. He was a horrible bully. Obviously, Hawk got payback on him during, I think it was like season 2, and so I'm not going to pretend I like this character. Also, this is Crease's army like sergeant or captain. He's going into the dislike as well because of how horrible he treated Crease, and now you understand why Crease is the way Crease is, because he was in the war. He was having to deal with horrible things and horrible people like this who said that his lovely wife and child was unalived and was trying to fight for their lives. And Kreese won because he finally took his philosophy to heart, which is show no mercy, and that's how Cobra Kai became Cobra Kai. So I dislike that character, but it was cool to see him becoming how Kreese became Kreese, basically. So this is Miguel's mother, and so she's going up into great tier, Camille, because she's a great mother to Miggy, even though after everything that went down with Robbie, she was open arms to him when him and Miguel put it past them in season 5. She was able to put it past her and bring Robbie into the fold and make him a part of the family. And obviously now she's going to be having the little sibling, so that's going to make it even more juicier. I also just think she's a really good mum. She's a really good character. She's really well developed. So I think she deserves to be in great tier. This is the first god tier, and that is Chosen, because Chosen has went from one of the like coldest badass like protagonists, antagonists, to one of the best protagonists, because now he's on the good side. He apologized to Daniel. His growth is good. He's really funny. Some of the scenes in season 5 was just hilarious between him and Amanda, and I just think overall he's been teaching the kids really good like martial art techniques. He's actually changed a lot. He's finally admitted that he has feelings for Kimiko, who's down there as well. And I just think he's an overall great character. So Chris is next. I'm going to put him in okay tier. Like, he's an okay character for what he is. He's just like Bert. The only reason why Bert got a little bit higher was simply because Bert has a little bit more to him, where Chris is a good character, but he's really there just to be the muscle, to be like one of the background muscly characters for whatever dojo he's in at that minute in time. And so because of that, I decided let's just put him at an okay. I'm not quite sure who she is either, because I can't see the picture all too well, so I'm going to just put her in okay. So that is the bully from Robbie's like bad guy days. I don't like saying that, but it is what it is. I'm putting him in dislike because I don't obviously like that type of character. He's a bully. He was trying to force Robbie to steal from Larusso Auto. He was trying to make it seem like he was a good guy, and things like that. So that's why he's going there. Next up in God tier again is going to be Daniel. Yeah, I know people might be like, is that a bit of bias? No, because I can see everybody's point about Daniel could have been the bad guy in Karate Kid. He could also be a bit annoying in this show, but I think overall him trying his hardest to be the best version of himself, to try be the next Miyagi sensei, is really good. I think the stuff that he goes through, and especially within season 5, you saw Daniel shine once again, and you can see that it wasn't just a one-off thing. It's not like it was like we found a genie in a bottle. It's actual talent, and he's a really good character. The way he took Robbie in, the way he's trying to protect all the kids from Cobra Kai and Kreese and Silver, the way that he's just going all about it, I really enjoy that. I also just believe that he's a good character overall, and I think he deserves God tier. Dimitri is going in a good category because I love Dimitri, don't get me wrong, but when it comes down to story arcs, is usually the same sort of beats. It's him that's in the middle of everything. I'm actually I'll give him a wee bit of a boost because he got Yasmin in the end. So because he got Yasmin, he's going to go into great because his entire sort of arc was that I'm a nerd, nobody likes me. I go to the comic book store, I only have one friend, which was Eli, which was Hawk. But obviously because of that, that's sort of his role. He was getting bullied a lot, and the rest of the Miyagi-Dos had to save him a lot. And then now he's a badass. He's actually doing really well, especially within tournaments and stuff. So for me, I think he deserves to be in great. When it comes to Hawk and Eli, I'm going to put him in good. I know there's going to be people out there that are like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? What are you doing? Generally speaking, I think he's a good character, but I don't think he's a great or a god tier character because people let him away with too much when it comes to what he's done over the time. Like when he was Eli, he was a nice guy, and then when he became Hawk, I know he's badass, I know he's cool, but think about all the stuff he did. You know, like he broke the dojo, he stole the Medal of Honor. You know, he even went against his own friend Miguel at one point. He broke Dimitri's arm. You know, there's a lot of things that a lot of people are willing to forgive. Don't get me wrong, he is slowly becoming a great character. By the end of season 6, when that releases, if he becomes even a better character, then this is subject to change, and I'll put him up to great. But at the minute, he's just done too much before he turned good to bump him back up to good. Like, don't get me wrong, his storyline is good, but if you watch it back and you actually analyze it from what you see, it's a kid that was bullied that became a bully himself. And even though it's a realistic storyline, I don't necessarily like that storyline. I don't think it's a good thing to look at. Obviously, he grows and gets better from it, and I'll give him his benefit of the due. But when it comes to the actual character of Hawk, I think too many people just automatically gravitated towards him because they were like, oh, when I was a kid, I got bullied, so I want to be like Hawk and be able to go back and beat them up. But that's the thing. You're not supposed to be doing that. The whole point of Miyagi-Do and the whole point of this sort of show is to teach you that those things aren't okay. And the fact that he does those things, the show tries to tell you that they're not okay. And that's why he feels regret and why he wants to change back and why this ends up happening the way it does. You know, like, I think that a lot of people like him too much for what he's done, because someone like Robbie or, you know, Tori, like, he's done similar levels or even higher sort of things to me, because, like, you know, when it comes to the bad stuff he's done, but a lot of people just give him a lot of leeway, and they don't give the same sort of leeway to Tori or Robbie or other characters like that, or like Johnny at times. So I think it's unfair. So I don't really necessarily like the fact that so many people give him the pass when, yes, don't get me wrong, he's done good for himself. He's back with Moon and he's doing good again. The minute season 6 drops, and if he keeps up being a decent guy and he doesn't try to revert or anything like that, then I'm potentially going to put him in great. But until then, all the bad stuff he's done for me specifically has like outweighed a lot of the gooder stuff he's done now, because it's just him trying to make up. And that's what I liked about Johnny in season 5. He's like, you really think just an apology is going to work? Like, no, that's not going to work here. You've done too much. So don't get me wrong, he's awesome for building the coming up for the idea for the deck, the Okinawa sparring deck and things, but at the same time, I still can't put him in great at the moment for me personally. I don't remember this character so much either, so I'm gonna put them in the okay category. If I can't really remember the character all too well, to me that just signifies that they were in the show and they'd done what they had to do and they were an okay character, but they're sort of gone now. The only reason why Chris, you know what, I'll put Chris in good as well, because Chris is a person you remember. Aisha is a person you remember, but she's just an okay character. This guy, I'm pretty sure, just owned the dojo and he was only there every now and then to be a sleazy businessman. So, you know, that's what it is. So next up is Young Kreese. I think then Young Kreese is a good character. I think it's good to see the way he became he is and what led him to become the Kreese we know in today's timeline, or like in the years of going through this. I think seeing how he fell in love and how he was saving Terry Silver and how he became, like, how his sergeant was horrible and how he became the way he is now was good. I like the flashbacks between him and Terry when they're in Okinawa learning the other way of karate, which is obviously the Cobra Kai karate way. But also it's Martin Cove's son, so, well, no, sorry. Is it? I can't remember actually. But yeah, Martin Cove, also known as Old Kreese. I'm gonna put him in a great character tier now. Like, at first I wouldn't have put him that high. I would probably put him in good or okay, because once you go back and watch the Karate Kid, he's not really a formidable villain. Like, it wasn't really him that was the villain. It was mostly like Johnny or Daniel that could have been seen as the villain. He was more of like a background sensei that was the guy that was training Johnny, and that's why Johnny was the way he was. So that's what made him evil. But once we got this show, it fleshed him out so much more. You saw the evil in him. You saw how formidable of a villain he could be. He still doesn't fight a lot, obviously, because of his age, and obviously Martin Kove isn't the best karate guy. But I think when it comes to characters overall, he's still a great character now. Johnny Lawrence, he's going in God tier as well, because for me, speaking, Johnny Lawrence is one of the best like redemption stories throughout this entire arc, and that's the thing that I love about the Miyagi-Do verse, is that it's all about redemption and fixing your past mistakes. This guy has screwed up. He's admitted his wrongs. He's finally coming to terms with that he could have been wrong. He could have been this. He could have been that. And it takes a lot of maturity and character growth to be able to admit these sort of things. And I think because of that, he deserves to be in God tier, as well as just simply like the way he handles Miguel and Robbie, and he's trying to get them to get on. And he goes out of his way to make the effort. Now, at first, I wasn't so keen on him for not making the effort and for being a screw up dad. But now, by season 5, he's made up. He's actually redeemed himself. And that's what I'm saying. Like, Johnny was like Hawk, but Hawk's still just slightly away from being a great character because of some of the stuff he's done, in my opinion. Next up is, I'm not quite sure who this one is as well. So I'm going to be putting her in OK tier, because some of the characters I can remember, but some of these characters in this tier list are like characters that show up for maybe like an episode or two, or like they're a background sort of person. Next up is Kimiko. I think she's a great character because she's the one last tie to Mr. Miyagi and what he was saying to obviously his love interest from Karate Kid. She was the one that helped Daniel find his way. She's the one that helped Chosen become the god tier character that he is. So I think she's a great character for those things. Okay, so going next up is Kyler. Kyler, he can go into OK tier. Like, I love Kyler, don't get me wrong, he's funny, and but the only issue with Kyler is he's only there to get his ass beat. He's been beaten by every single like kid he used to bully: Dimitri, Eli, Miguel. Hell, even people he didn't get the chance to bully, he's been beaten up by. And like, he's funny, he's a great character, and the actor that plays him is apparently a really nice guy. So I'll put him in. I'll put him in good tier because he's at least funny, where a lot of people or characters weren't like that. So I'll put him in good tier. Wait, I'm gonna put him in okay. Like, he's funny, he's a decent enough character, but he's just a buffoon. He's always making issues for Johnny and Danny. He's always doing some sort of side business hustle, and he is what it is. Daniel LaRusso's mother is going up into great character because for me, when it comes to Daniel's mother, without her, Daniel wouldn't exist, and then the Karate Kid universe wouldn't exist, and the whole entire Cobra Kai spin-off show wouldn't exist either. She's also just a really good mother who's trying her best to support her family and to do what she thinks is right. And because of that, that's what makes this a good show. That pawn shop dealer guy, he's an okay character. He's good for, actually, I'll put him in good because he actually done a really good job at helping Johnny, like, with lifestyle things. Yeah, he kind of ripped him off when it came to certain tech and stuff, but hey, sometimes to support a family, you have to do things like that. I know it's horrible and it's shady, but sometimes you have to do that. I'm pretty sure that's Homeless Lynn. She's a good character. I find her funny. I think she's really like good within the scenes that she's in, like her constantly flirting with Johnny and those sort of things. I like that. When it comes to Miguel, bit of a controversial. I'm not going to put him in God tier. I'm going to put him in great character. For me specifically, it's not because it's not because I'm a Robbie fanboy or things, but for me, I think Miguel is a great character, but it's like Hawk. He got away with a lot more than other characters did. Like, people are like, oh, but it's understandable why you'd be like this. But the whole point of Cobra Kai is just because you can justify a reason to attack or to see a person as your enemy, it doesn't mean that they are. The thing that also annoyed me about Miguel is that him and Robbie could have all they had to really do was have one single conversation, but instead Miguel got jealous, and then Robbie was having to try to defend himself, and then Robbie became the bad one because he'd done bad things. But overall, when it comes to the character development of these characters, to me, Miguel is a great character. He's got a great upbringing. Like, the thing about Miguel is that his character growth can only go so far because of the way they introduced him. Like now he's like the cool kid. Now he's the one with all the friends. Now he's the one that's beating up all his bullies. He's won tournaments. You know, he's sort of nearly at the end of his arc. He's nearly completed it. He's just having to learn how to balance his life with Robbie and Johnny, and obviously the new baby coming into the fold. And because of that, like there's just a little bit left to do with his character. So I think I'm going to put him there. And I don't care if the Miguel fanboys go after that and come for me in the comment section. The fact that you're willing to put a bias before a storyline just shows me that you're not watching it for what the story's intended to do. The story's intending to for you to look at all these characters and understand different perspectives of the characters. Miguel's good because Miguel was luckier than some of the characters here. He had his mom, he had his grandma, you know, and he had people that genuinely loved and cared for him. Yeah, he got bullied, but he overcame it, and he's now going on to do great things. And so that's why I think he's a great character instead of a god tier character, because he's sort of reaching the end of his rope of his story. And by season 6, unless they do something mind-boggling, then I'm going to keep him in great tier for me, because I love Miguel, don't get me wrong, but for me, just when it comes to like the way his story's progressed, it's sort of nearly full circle now. All they really need to do is like properly have him and Johnny and Robbie get on completely fine, and obviously go on to kick ass at the Saikai Taikai with whatever it's going to be called, Miyagi Fang or whatever they decide to call it. And because of that, that's why he's getting put in a great. Mitch, everybody knows where he's going, especially if you've seen a certain live stream over in the Chosen Ones channel. We sat there for about an hour ripping into this character. He's just a horrible character. He was brought in to be like a sort of bullied character, but he never progressed. He never actually grew as a person. He's still a whiny little person. He's also constantly backstabbing people. And so because of that, I don't like his character. Min, I'm going to put in great character. I actually really like Min's character because she is what you call the flower child, the unique person, you know, the type of person that you would get in Boys Meets World. Like, she's like a Topanga character where she's there to represent like people that are not into the fighting, that doesn't want all this going on. She just wants everybody going back to being friends. She doesn't see the reason why everybody's being so ridiculous over things. And I really like that. And the fact that she's there for Eli and Hawk, and she helps better him as a person. You know, I like that about her character. So that's why I would put her in great. This is Nate. Nate can be put in okay. Nate is just sort of like was there as like another person for Bert to sort of fight, because that's the two that usually fight when like stuff goes down. Obviously, when they're on the opposite dojos and stuff, he's a good character, but you don't spend enough time with him to actually know anything about him. The shop clerk guy, I'm going to put him in good because I actually really like him. I found it quite funny, and he's got a good relationship with Robbie and a lot of the other kids that come into his shop. Obviously, until Silver then went and bought the shop to make it a dojo, which annoys the crap out of me. Next here is Robbie. Yes, this is where I get called a Robbie fanboy, but I'm putting him up here in God tier because people don't understand this. Is when it comes to Robbie's story arc, he is the one that's done the most growth out of probably everyone here, because he started off as a street urchin that had dad issues because his dad wasn't there. His mum was constantly drinking and hooking up with random men while he was in the house. He had to listen to music all the time. Then he went from that to try to better himself. Yeah, at first he went with the wrong means to go to LaRusso Auto because he was trying to make his dad jealous. But once he got to know them and once they started teaching him things, he realized that he was wrong, and then he tried to be a good person for a long time. He was sitting on Miyagi-Do's side. He was trying to do everything he could to be a good person. Yet he made a few mistakes when he was like didn't show Sam the Medal of Honor. Yes, he should have not sort of tried to hit on Sam, but at the same time, he didn't know at that time. And the minute he found out, he stopped doing all the flirtatious things. He was always open and honest. Once the Medal of Honor thing, he said to Sam, "I'm sorry, I should have told you. I was just insecure because we had just gotten together, and I was scared because I know that if you knew that there was a chance you're going to leave me." Yeah, it's not fair, but he's a teenager and he's meant to be insecure. Also, when it comes to his story arc, is one of the best story arcs. It's very similar to like the Anakin story arc, and it's very similar to a lot of good like story arcs. The thing that people don't also realize a lot as well is that his story arc is so much like Daniel's at this moment in time. He's got the potential of being the new Daniel Miyagi because he's always the one that's always had the level-headed stuff. He's the one that who's always said to Johnny and Daniel, like, if you actually just took time to get to know one another, you wouldn't fight. I think you would get on really well. He's the one that always tried to de-escalate like situations. The Tori and Sam thing, he ran in to try to de-escalate it. Miguel saw the wrong thing and just put two and two together and ran and started attacking. And that's why I put Miguel further down, is because Miguel should know better than what he's doing at these points in times, but he doesn't, and it held his character back for a while. And don't get me wrong, I know Robbie done something really bad, but what does Robbie say within season 5? I know I was the cause of the worst moment of your life, but if it's any consolation, it's the worst moment of my life too. And that's because Robbie genuinely regretted what he did. He just didn't want to admit it because he was so angry and upset at the way everyone was treating him. Like, the minute Robbie does one bad thing, everybody goes back to, yo, you're a bad kid, you're this, you're that. Imagine going through your entire life hearing that, and you know you've made a mistake, and you're so scared that you've made that mistake, another mistake, that you're scared that everybody's going to turn on you and be like that again. That because of that, he ran away. And of course, I know he shouldn't have done it, but at the same time, when you're in the heat of a moment, people can't deny it. If you're in the heat of the moment and you're in a fight, sometimes you don't show mercy. Sometimes in a real life fight, you can't show mercy because of how it goes down. And it's not a nice thing, but it's what actually happens. So that's why when it comes to Cobra Kai's philosophy, it might be flawed, but it's not wrong within a real life setting either. Sometimes you can't physically escape it, so you have to just throw hands. And Robbie also is just grown a lot as a character. Like, him and his dad have gotten really close. Look at what he's been doing for Tori. He's been making Tori into a better person, making her a better character as well. I think for me, because of that, and also because he was the one person, think about it this way, and I don't care if you disagree with it or not. Think about how many people tried to get Daniel to come back, but who was the one person that got Daniel to come back after what Terry Silver did? It was our main man, Robbie. It was like, I don't want to fail these kids again. You never failed me. You gave me a job, you gave me a purpose. And look at his reaction. He was nearly in tears because he knew it was right. And the fact is that Robbie finally came back. He got his surrogate son back. Robbie's character growth is also good because he didn't have one dad to begin with. Now he has two. And he's got his mother that's cleaned up her act. And he's got a secondary mother and Miguel's mother. So there you go. Miguel's granny, she's going in a good character because she's really good, she's really funny, and she's a really loving and caring old woman. Like, she's the type of grandmother you wish you had. Sam LaRusso, I'll put her in the top of good tier. I'll put Hawk behind her. I'm gonna, like, I will readjust this near the end, but Sam's going in a good character. Like, I think she's a good character. I think she has got a good character development. There's a lot of things I didn't like what she did. She also gets away with a lot of bull crap as well. So I'm sorry, boys. I know the ones that are watching. I know who yous are, and I know yous are going to be like, "How dare you? How very dare you?" But when it comes to me, Sam's a good character. But there was a lot of things in a lot of the seasons I didn't like about her. Then she becomes a better character. So by the end of season 6, she might get bumped up to great, just depending on what she does. Shannon, she's going to be put into the good character list as well because she's a good character, but obviously when she starts off in this show, she's the reason why Robbie's got so many issues. She's the reason why a lot of things go down the way they go down, is because she can't admit that Johnny wanted to be there for Robbie. She lied to him when Johnny genuinely asked if he wanted, like, he could stay with him and things. So Shannon is a good character, but she has a lot of flaws that sort of put her down into the good category instead of great character. I know she's sort of fixed herself and gotten better, but at the same time at that, is it too late? Because necessarily all the damage has already been done. So, and the fact that she kept ditching Robbie and Robbie would go out and get her pizza and she's like, "Oh, you don't want to leave me alone, do you?" And he's just sat there left on his own with a bunch of horrible people. So because of her and Johnny's lack of parenting skills, he was stuck hanging out with Douche Canoe on the bottom there. So I think Sean was a great character because, you know, he's the reason why we get introduced to Kenny. I've just realized Kenny's not on this list, but I'll still say my piece on Kenny and where I would put him in this tier list. But he was a great character because he was a formidable foe for Robbie. It helped Robbie grow as a person. It was helping Robbie embrace the Cobra Kai side. It's how he went on to do his Darth Vader Anakin arc. And I really like that because Robbie at this point in time had deserved to become a bit of a villain because so much stuff kept going wrong. He kept making the wrong mistakes. And that's the whole point of that storyline, is that the most feared villains used to be one of the worst sob stories. Sometimes it's not the case, but a lot of the time you'll find a lot of people aren't born evil. They become evil over time, and that's what I like about like Cobra Kai and things. It shows you that people generally don't see themselves as bad in these situations. They think of themselves as a hero or someone that's trying to save someone, or they're doing the right thing, but they're doing the wrong thing. And that's what I like about the Cobra Kai show. It's trying to tell you about balance and how to look at things from a different perspective. Because when it comes to people like like these sort of characters like Shannon and things, it just goes to show you that you need to start being more self-aware. So here comes Sid. I'm going to put him in the good category as well, because Sid was a good character to show why Johnny decided to join Cobra Kai, why Johnny wasn't the best of fathers, and why he wasn't happy with his life because his dad was a drinker and he left, and then he got stuck with Sid, who was just a rich, pompous douche person that was just there, obviously, to quote unquote bang his mother. And because of that, it caused a lot of issues. Stingray, I'm going to put Stingray in a great character because every time we see Stingray, we all love him, we all want him there, and we all find him really funny. And he's just a great character. Yeah, he does a bit of stupid things, but he's a sad but funny character that you can resonate with. He's the type of kid that clearly didn't have friends in high school, and he's trying to make up for it by lost time within the future whilst hanging out with the newer generation of young people. This is the car dealership dude. Like, I just dislike that guy. He was a dish. This character as well, I can't remember his name. Watch it me get it wrong, and this actually be Bobby or whatever. But I'm sometimes really bad with the names when it comes to like the secondary characters. I'm not gonna lie, but he was a great character. You know, seeing what he had to go through and watching all the old Cobra Kai's ride their bikes one more time, and his gripping on a life scene was unbelievable. He killed it. He knocked it out of the park. So I think he deserves to be in the great category just because of that. So yeah. Tori, this is where I'm going to show that I'm not biased. I'm going to put Tori in great instead of God tier. I think her character arc has been such a great arc, and her and Sam's rivalry has been really good. The fact that obviously I would put her higher than Sam is because I believe her storyline has more of an important impact, as she's going from dealing with creeps, dealing with horrible family members, dealing with the fact that her mum's ill. She has to take care of her brother and herself, and she's having to do all these things because she has no choice. And then obviously when it comes to the Sam and Tori rivalry, you can say what you want. Yeah, she's a bit crazy, but she comes from a lifestyle that is crazy. She's probably been in a situation in her past where she has to have to take it to those extremes and use her anger to do some permanent damage to people, because unfortunately when you grow up in a situation like that, you have no out. You have to just learn to deal with those situations and do the best to survive, and she was doing that. And yeah, she took it too far, but look at how good her characters grew once we learned more about her, which I always called out from the beginning of this show, is that the minute you found out why she was the way she was, and the more you seen her struggle and get put through it, especially within season 5 when her and Robbie break up, and then Sensei Kim is like properly like, I can't say the word on here because of YouTube guidelines, but properly doing something that you would have to phone a certain service for. You can feel generally sympathy for her, and she's growing so much as a character to the point where her and Robbie, like Robbie's helped her grow so much as a person, where she's trying to de-escalate fights. She's trying not to get into them. Where the reason why I get annoyed at Sam is because Sam's now being the Tory in the situation of she's always trying to like instigate them, and she's trying to use a fear tactic on Tori, and Tori is just not wanting that. She doesn't want the fights anymore at this moment in time, because she just wants to be with her man, basically. And I like that. You know, she's finally found something to give her hope. Amanda was great with her. She was helping her grow as well. So I think she deserves to be great. This is the other bully. He's gone in dislike. he's funny, but like other than that, he's not a good character. Young Terry Silver, funnily enough, that's another person that's missing is old Terry Silver. So I'll put where I'd put him as well. Young Terry Silver, he's going on okay. You didn't see too much of him. All you really seen that he was a bit of he never used to be the over eccentric badass fighter that he is today. He was more of a person that wasn't the best. He was just basically a person that got forced into the army, and then later on he gets better. So this is the guy from Topanga Karate. Like he's okay, I guess. Like he just talked a bunch of hippie stuff, like Moonwood. Yasmin, I'll put her in a good character. Like I've never been a big fan of Yasmin's character because she can be really a douche canoe. She's very spoiled, she's very rich and pampered, but she has grown a lot, especially since starting to date Dimitri. So I'll give her benefit of the due. When it comes to the people that are missing, older Terry Silver would be God tier because of how he's went about becoming the overall villain of the story, the stuff that he did, the stuff that he did to Stingray, the fact that he was willing to do the same things to Johnny, even though Kreese didn't want that, the fact that he is such a formidable foe that he could probably get out of what he's getting sentenced to at the minute. So I'm going to put him in God tier. That will be that. I'll leave this tier list as is. I'm not going to lie. I think that's a good tier list in my opinion, especially because some of the characters are like one-off characters or they were okay at the time. So I have been Kane and Wolf, and I shall see you guys in the next video.